Industry F podcast. Introduce yourself, our guest today.
Hi, I'm Ariel Jade.
Awesome. And we got Ryan Sanchez. I haven't seen you in forever, dude.
It's been a bit.
I know, man, but
we've talked a lot.
We have. We text all the time, you know. I got some
Memes.
new Zens on me. But Ariel Jade, so happy for you to be here.
I'm excited.
You now call Nashville home, huh?
I do, as of about March, and coming back and forth between Mississippi for about a year and a half, writing my debut album that came out in December 24. Doing all of that, living out of my car. I actually finally have a place here. It's nice to have a home base.
Yeah, but you were always coming up here for a couple of years, right?
Yeah, 23. I actually wrote my first song in RCA Victor Studios when I was 14 years old.
Wow.
So I've been coming up to Nashville for a while, but then I did like the college thing and got married and was a teacher and just didn't come to Nashville, and then got rid of some baggage and said, I'm ready to go back into music full time, and started coming up, and then I got invited into RCA Victor Studio A to have a studio across from Wood Newton, who co-wrote and co-produced my entire album.
Nice.
And I had a music studio like 6 months before I actually had an apartment here.
Wow.
Priorities. That is priorities.
It was.
Yeah, that is priorities.
It was indeed, yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you, if you got offered to have a spot in RCA and you were, yes. You would take it.
Can I afford it? No, but I will figure it out and, just add a few extra work hours doing graphic design stuff and other things that are, skills that I can make money off of so that I can support my independent artistry. Yeah. All that fun stuff.
I've been there. I've lived at a studio before.
You did?
Yeah.
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 It's a good way to do it.
You were living there for how long?
A year and a half in an Airstream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A little more comfortable than a car. But,
yeah.
I luckily have a lot of friends around town since I was back and forth. So
Sure.
I never had to sleep in my car.
Good.
I just lived out of my
it was
car.
a storage unit.
And like, I did actually get a storage unit.
Smart.
Wow.
Smart.
And left like a bunch of suitcases in there. That way it wasn't as ridiculous. Because I would pull up to gigs or to writes and my clothes, bras would just fall out of my car. And I was like, okay, this is not working.
Yeah, I got to get myself together.
Yeah, just a little bit. A little bit.
You might not remember, there was a bass player years ago. He had like a shag van. It was like 2015, 16.
I do remember you talking.
He lived on 16th. He was cool as shit.
Yeah, he was cool.
He was cool as shit, but he was like, I live in this van. It's always smelled like weed.
Yeah.
But he
van.
was clean looking. He didn't look
musician,
like,
that tracks.
Yeah, no, he was cool, man.
I always said if I found myself in a dire situation where I didn't have a home, the first thing I would do is get a gym membership.
Yes,
because you can get a shower, you can shave, get cleaned up.
You look like you're not homeless, And I think that's what he told me. He's like, I got Planet Fitness, brother.
Yep.
Got this side gig. I got this gig on Friday, But let's ask you.
Make it work.
You make it work. But let's ask this. So were you always a player? Were you always just writing songs? Or what were you doing? How'd you get into music?
So my grandparents were up in like North Carolina, and during the summers, my parents would take me up there. And starting at age 2, I wanted a guitar. I was begging for one. I begged and I begged and I begged. My mom says I sang before I actually talked. Like I would sing, but So I've always been very musical. My family wasn't very musical, so I begged for the guitar. Begged. 6, they were like, she has ADHD. She is loud. She's all over the place. We're not giving her something else to make more noise with. So they made a deal with me. They said, all right, on your 8th birthday, if you say nothing about it for 2 years, we'll get it for you on your 8th birthday. So on my 6th birthday, I said nothing else about it. And I shut up and I just said nothing. I obsessed about it, but I said nothing because we had a deal. And on my 8th birthday, I woke up and they were good parents. Don't get me wrong. There was a gift, but I just looked at it. I didn't even touch it. I was like, that's not big enough to be a guitar. And they could not believe that I remembered. They're like, well, we'll get you one. And I was like, no, today. Like, I kept up my end of the bargain. It's your turn. Let's go to Walmart. And I made him get me, like, a really shitty $69.
But it was a guitar.
Chinaman
It worked.
guitar. And I got a little chord book because I had to wait, like, 6 months to get lessons. So I, like, taught myself GCD. Like, I was hungry for it at a young age. I grew up around bluegrass music, Celtic, folk, old country. So I started flat picking around, like, 10. Picked up a mandolin at age 12. I wrote my first song at 7, though. So it's just kind of all... I wrote a song before I had a guitar because I was was preparing for the guitar.
Sure.
And it was like 12 notebook pages long taped together. It was like the world's longest ballad by a 7-year-old.
That's cool.
Do you feel like the guitar was like a tool of liberation? Like it allowed you to start getting those things out?
Instead of me just having to sing it and keep it in my head, it was like, okay, I can actually like get the noises outside of just the melody. I can like make a song.
Sure.
That's what I always wanted to do. So.
When did you write your first song? What age?
7. I think that was that. I mean, I like wrote little things before that I called songs, but like the first song that was actually like really, I put verses into it. It had multiple choruses, versions of choruses.
Sure.
You know, but yeah, 7. I was like,
okay. When was the first time you were in the studio then?
So I started coming back and forth between Nashville and Jackson, Mississippi, and was kind of getting pitched around at about 13.
Oh, wow.
And was on some radio shows anyway. And people kept asking for demos. So my parents got me in with a guy named Sergio in Jackson, Mississippi. And I recorded 4 of my like first original songs that I wrote.
Cool.
2 of which, I'm the One and Pebbles, I actually re-recorded again in Jackson, Mississippi with he was a hip-hop producer and had never worked with acoustic instruments before. So it was a very interesting experience. They are still actually out right now, but I'm going to be recutting those with like a proper band.
Yeah.
So I taught myself upright bass for those tracks. Cool. Because I didn't have anyone around that could do it. So
that's cool.
And that's actually how I got back in up here, because one of the songs that I tracked was the song that I wrote with Wood Newton in RCA at 14. And he had told me, he said, all right, if you ever do anything with it, come on back and we'll write some more. So I finally did something with it like 10 years later, and I send it to him, and he's like, we're going to re-record that, but come on back up. And then we just kept writing, and we were like 4 deep, and I was like, do you just want to do the album with me, you know? And he was like, yes, I do. And so that's kind of how I got back into the space. Yeah. It is, yeah, it definitely is. But I've always been a writer and a songwriter, and I've always loved music. Growing up in bluegrass, predominantly when I was younger, I do love like learning licks and stuff on the guitar. So I may be focused more on artistry in terms of like content creation, because that's what the world is now. If you're an independent artist, we're forced to, which I did that for a while.
That's what we're doing here.
We're doing it right now.
It is.
Very meta. Yeah.
This is a nice way to do it, though. I will say. I love the space. You guys are cool. So
thank you.
Oh.
But
you don't know me well enough. I'm pretty lame.
I wish I had more time to like run scales and just throw on backtracks and figure out some more slash licks. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't really have time for that.
Right.
And it's sad.
But. Well, I'm sure Ryan's got a question, but the biggest thing I wanted to talk about for a second is how I met you. You were just on Instagram doing content creation. So how'd you get into that?
That's a funny story. Quick and easy. I started playing video games because my hopefully soon to be ex-husband, we'll get there eventually, wouldn't put them down. Can I tell a kind of lewd story? It's like how you were cursing. I walked in front wearing just stilettos, and he told me to move. And I was like, okay, well, I guess if you can't beat them, join them. And this is what you're going to do with your time, then I'm going to also, figure out why this is so addicting. And I started streaming on Twitch for an emblem, just in-game loot for Destiny. I put like 5,000 hours into that game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What is that?
Destiny was like
it's on everything.
First
is
person.
it? I don't think I ever played it.
First person shooter versus like AI computer. Cool. Anyway, really good. And I got affiliated on Twitch. Didn't know it. Didn't know that it was a thing. I didn't know what Twitch was.
What does that mean, affiliate? You getting paid?
You can if you accept the agreement, which I didn't do for 8 months because it was an email I just didn't check it because I didn't know. I just was playing video games, and I go to check this, dead email, and I see this welcome to the affiliate program. I'm like, what is this? And so then I look at Twitch and I'm like, wait a minute. I've been putting all of my time into the weekends, avoiding the problems in my life and escaping into this. And I could have been making money while I was doing it. And I was like, okay. So then I started streaming, and that was when I was teaching. And I only streamed for like 10 months. And then I got picked up by...
What year was this?
2019.
Okay.
2018, because I went full-time May of 2019. I got picked up by a professional esports org to compete in Fortnite and then Apex and then Call of Duty. And I did that for a year. I was traveling like all over.
That's pretty cool.
It was a lot of fun.
And this is before like Twitch became like huge. I know
COVID
made Twitch like
this was
massive.
basically, this is right before COVID. Like,
pretty cool.
And then, and then COVID happened, and I also... There are a lot of, just like in any area of the entertainment industry, you got a lot of assholes.
Yeah.
And so I did it for a year, and I was like, okay, I'm good on this. But I had grown to 15, 16,000 followers on Twitch that would watch me, and they would, not all of them, but I was making decent money from subscriptions and tips, and had been around sponsorship opportunities. So I was like, okay, you know what? I can do this alone. So I was a Twitch partner at this point, and I just streamed variety games for like 4 years.
Cool.
Up until 2023, really. I was like every day, 8 hours a day streaming. Wow. The Dark Souls games are my favorite. I put way too many hours into playing Elden Ring. Like, From Software. I'm a huge From Software nerd. But I also I didn't play games when I was younger because I was limited screen time. Or like, if you want to play something, go play sports or play your guitar.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, okay. So I went back and I played all of the Fallout games, all of the God of War games, like the number one icky, disgusting controller, all of that. Like, I nerded out on that. The big fat
controller.
Well, and so I'm streaming. I have all of this live footage. It's like, okay, well, now how do I bring people into this? And it's like, utilize your social media. So just take little clips and put that on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all the things.
Sure.
And try to point them back to where I could monetize and engage in real time with my fan base and my audience.
Makes sense.
And then that just kind of turned into, I started doing cosplay and voice acting, and Harley Quinn is my staple, and they absolutely love it. And so that turned into me getting into cosplay, and then I would get hired to go judge cosplay contests, host and MC events.
Would you go to
in Harley
cons?
Quinn. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Cool.
That was my favorite.
Which ones?
Dragon Con over in Atlanta is probably my top one for cosplay, because it's like all of the nerdoms, and there's no rules,
and people are just into it.
They're so into it. It is so much fun.
My friend's mom does it.
Really?
Yeah.
I love it.
She loves it. Yeah.
I will forever cosplay.
She's like a nurse.
I'm actually going over to Helen, Georgia at the end of May. They have this Mirth and Mischief immersive theater experience thing, and I'm going to be dressed as a nice little pretty weed fairy. Oh. And just floating and frolicking through in character.
I've been to Comic-Con 5 times, and it was funny. All the, just kind of weird dudes with cameras. They'd see an attractive girl and they'd be like, picture? It was just weird.
There are definitely weirdos.
I'm like, you're not an official photographer. You're just a guy with a camera.
At this point, I feel like I'm a woman of the internet. I've seen, heard, had been requested of many weird things. So nothing really surprises me anymore.
Sure.
Which I think, honestly, being a Twitch partner for years and doing it every day and having to deal with all those trolls really benefited me well now.
Thick skin for the music industry.
It did. It really gave me that. And it's and it also working with content creation teams and all of this stuff, you learn a lot. You learn what to do, who to work with, and who to avoid. You know.
Yeah, but the whole industry is about content, so it kind of set perfect in for you.
It definitely, and during that, I had to teach myself how to run audio. I have this, a Go XLR where I can, do live vocal, weird distortion things, live mic play, basically.
That's cool.
And then I had to learn a basic level of coding for some things to kind of bring over custom widgets and stuff. Anyway,
Sure.
it taught me a lot. I also was like, oh, I need a website. Learned how to make websites, which we've got the tools now with like Wix and Squarespace and stuff where it's super
Not sponsors.
easy.
We're not sponsored by Wix or Squarespace, but if you
yet.
want to sponsor us, email Tyler Boone at whatever your email is. Yeah.
Whatever
it is.
I take 50% commission.
he does. He's my manager. I didn't know that until today.
It's happening right here. But anyway, so that kind of taught me. I had to force doing it all independently. It's like I had to force myself to learn all these new things. Taught myself all of Photoshop. Cool. Like all of it.
The pen tool is a
all
nightmare
of it.
in Photoshop. I hate that. thing.
Well, see, that actually turned out really well for me because I ended up doing a gig. I had this editing gig for one of these huge tournaments that was broadcasted on ESPN. And they needed someone to like be able to green screen out and put all of their players onto like little cards. And I got paid a pretty good amount of money to do that. And my photo editing was on big ESPN screens, which was really cool.
You can put that on your resume. And,
yeah, I mean,
like
and all of
everyone's
these
looking at resumes.
random things. And it's like now...
Are they?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think so.
Well, it's like now I have all this weird tech knowledge and I'm trying to move into full-time music instead of full-time content creation and full-time professional esports gaming.
Sure.
And it's like, but I still learned a lot through all of that. And I'm just trying to kind of apply it to now, which is why I do all of the Instagram, content creation
I think
stuff.
you're going to have to unfortunately always do content.
I think I'm stuck here. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not a bad thing.
No, I enjoy it most of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
At least you're way more educated and more experienced than, someone just getting into it.
This is true.
A lot of artists get thrown into it going from the music angle and being like, now be a content creator, and they sink a lot of the times with that. Or they pay someone $100,000 a year to do it.
Which is crazy.
So having that skill set is just invaluable at that point.
It is.
And it makes you a lot more lucrative of an artist for industry people to want to work with because they know that's packaged in already.
Oh, yeah. That's how I get a lot of my residencies and gigs that are bigger and actually pay nicely because they're like, oh, well, you're going to basically roll in a whole promotional marketing package for us as well, and we don't have to ask you to do that.
Yeah.
Like,
How do you feel about either the transition from the esports thing to music or balancing them? Do you still do?
Okay, so for a little while I did balance, but as I got the opportunity to build out a media studio in RCA and I started running my own shows out of there and producing other people's shows and all of that became a lot of time. And then I do basically all of our post-production for the shows that I host and write anyway. And that on top of writing 3 to 4 songs a week, co-writing with 3 different co-writers a week, playing 2 to 3 gigs a week. I got to the point where I just don't have time to play. I do still play a little bit of Call of Duty, like on the weekends when I'm like, okay, both of my phones are off. Everybody leave me alone.
It's like the passion project.
It is, but I have to very strategically force myself to unplug, and that is my go-to.
And this
because
is
normally I
no
write
streaming.
music.
This is just
nope,
pure,
not yet. I'll get back to it eventually. Maybe I stream my music gigs because I have tried to bring over my existing audience, as many as possible, into my music world. And I did notice like a huge dip, especially TikTok. If you change genres and your niche on TikTok, the daddy algorithm is not happy.
No.
Okay, so I was just like...
Daddy algorithm?
Yes. Yes, that's what I call it. It's daddy algorithm. And I will say this in any company because he's very like, yes, I'm calling the algorithm a he. Yeah. Personifying him. He's like, no, you do not follow the rules. Punish. I hate it. Like,
off with their head.
Off with yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much the old industry heads. It's like the modern version of shut up and play the hits.
Yeah.
Like
dance, monkey, dance.
Yeah. No, it's exactly that. It's like we don't want to hear what you're gonna do different.
Where's that funny clip that you posted last week, man? Well, what was the one back in the day? Vine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which was I thought hilarious.
I love Vine.
Well, Ryan, what do you do to chill? I mean, you're a busy guy.
Well, so I was gonna say this is a funny thing. I am not very good at video games. I was, and this is the exception. I am what I call video game athletic. I'm not real life athletic, but I am good at all the sports video games.
Okay.
I somehow have the thing. I was ranked 1001 in the world in Madden. And this was Madden 2017.
Dude, you must have been.
I've hosted
your
some
eyeballs are
Madden
bleeding.
tournaments, like at LANs, actually.
Not really. It was when I first moved, and this is, I'm going to link it to music. This is when I first moved to Nashville. It was probably like the first 2 years. I was playing so much Madden. I'd like go to a co-write, play a gig, come home, play Madden. And I had beat the guy who won like the big Madden tournament that year. I was like, dude, I honestly could go and be a professional. I'm like, I don't know if I could live with this. I don't know if this is my thing.
So then you put it down.
But yeah, I loved the sport video games. Cool. I don't really play. I love Civ. I love strategy games.
Oh, okay.
Like what? Like Dune or something?
No, like Civilization. They came out with the new one, and I was like, I can't even get this because I'm married now, and I like
it sucks your life away.
Yeah, I was like, I'll be gone for like 3 weeks playing this game. So I get it. I get it how it can be addicting, and rewarding.
My dad, I bought him when I was 18. I worked at Best Buy for like just a Christmas holiday season. I was like, hey, you come work here for a couple hours. I bought him World of Warcraft. And my mom would come in the computer room and just be like, Mac! Like, just like, he's like, oh! Like, it was so funny.
That's hilarious. And
then eventually, remember, you ever seen the South Park episode of that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Where Randy comes and goes, hey, Stan, you want to play? Me and my high school girlfriend would play it, and he would literally come in and go, hey! And we would just log off.
Yeah.
I was like,
oh, poor Mick.
Anyway, I love you, Dad. So,
shout out Mick.
Yeah, shout out Mick. But anyway, well, hey, we still got quite a bit of time, but let's talk about your next, you got a next show, you got a new single. What's going on?
Yeah, so I, back in March, released Crazy Loves Company, which I co-wrote and co-produced with a guy named Mike Loudermilk. It's a lot more kind of rock and roll, vintage rock and roll vibes. He shreds, like, I can't, he's so good. I play mandolin on the track and do vocals, and he does everything else. Oh, cool. Which is basically how we recorded my debut album as well, and is how we also recorded this next single that's coming up May 30th. It's called Divorce Around Here. The full title is What's It Gonna Take to Get a Divorce Around Here? But it's kind of long, so
sounds kind of Dolly Parton-ish.
Yeah.
It's very Dolly Loretta era for sure.
Cool. Boom.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I'm really excited to release this one because we did bring in, I showed it to my friend Randy Course, who is a phenomenal steel dobro player. Like he's really, really good. Steel guitar. He is a producer as well. He grew up doing bluegrass and all of that. I think his first tour was with like Rhonda Vincent though. Okay, so he's
nice.
He's been into bluegrass and around for a while. Yeah. And I actually went over to his studio and got to watch him like a mad genius cut it. So I got to like spend time watching Mike do all of this crazy stuff and to watch them just like hit these awesome licks and be like, it's not good enough. And then talk to themselves, I can do it better. I can give them a little more room. Like just to sit there and watch all of that.
That's cool.
It's so cool. It is so cool. And like I co-produce a little bit, help tell like how I want the drum track to sound and then, like I'll say, okay, I want to do this with my, I'll write my mandolin parts. I've written some guitar parts before, but Mike will go in there after and just do mad scientist.
Touch him up and...
No, he takes it to a whole nother level.
Oh, wow.
He really does. Like,
what do you mean? He's just like rearranging it or?
No, like stacking harmony licks or where I wrote a lick on the mandolin, he then writes this killer lick on guitar as like a response. Like, and then, and he does all the mixing and mastering, too. Like, he's phenomenal.
Sure.
So, anyway, Divorce Around Here, we wrote together. And I was telling him I've been going through this nasty divorce since April of 21. It got denied in Mississippi. I'm in limbo land right now. It is what it is.
That's not fun.
And, and the excuse was I don't act like an abused woman. I was like, what does that mean, Judge? I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And I gave it as good as I took it. So because I fought back, I guess the physical wasn't good enough either. Anyway, so I was telling Mike about all of this, and he goes, well, damn, what's it going to take to get a divorce around here? And I was like, that is a song.
Oh, cool.
And so we sat down and we wrote it and produced it out.
What's your songwriting process look like? Is it all over the place, or do you have a standard?
No, all over the place. I say the rule is that there are no rules.
Mm-hmm.
That comes from, I was a creative writing major for my undergrad and then got my master's in education and then was a teacher for 4 years, like ELA support. So like, I say that, know the rules so that you can break them.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth?
And that's songwriting. That is how you get good songs, I think. I definitely, at this point, because I think first and foremost, I am a songwriter. And I'm getting close to almost 100 songs registered, actually.
Wow.
Yes, I'm excited. And just in the past month, I've written for like a rock emo chick. I've written for a pop country girly. So like I'm writing with all these other people that are just turning and pitching our songs.
So you have a large selection of people that you go to different rights with. You don't have
I do. And at this point, I'm having to learn how to say no. Because I'm booked halfway through August.
Wow.
And we are only in May. And so I have about 6. I have like 3 different writing teams that like when I get a really good idea, I'm calling them. And one is more country and one is more rock and one is more Americana folk, like, and I have these different groups and we do consistently write like at least once, twice a month. And which helps keep up rapport, but we're cranking out some really good.
Do you pursue
songs.
the writing side of things as much as the artistry side of things? Would you ever want to just be a writer, or do you need the artistry?
After I do all the touring that I'm gonna do, and I get tired of touring, I will songwrite and probably maybe do some. I'm doing a little A&R work for some of the independent labels housed in RCA, so see myself songwriting A&R, and then the Studio X that I'm building up, I want to see it do other things eventually, but yeah.
I mean, they do.
I'll still always be a songwriter, and I'll still always be a musician, and
you need that outlet,
if someone gives me a guitar and is like, hey, get up and play one, I'll still perform even when I'm 70, 80, if I'm alive. It's who I am, so. But yeah, songwriting, I think, is where I see myself, like, long-term, and then kind of maybe helping other artists out.
Yeah, but I mean, it's different now. You don't have to be the 20-year-old pop star. You could be just a badass artist that someone goes, oh my God, and then you take off,
Yep. I'm living life as it comes at me.
Sure.
Because...
Well, it's more authentic that way, too.
There's a lot you can't control, too. So you got to just go with the flow.
I mean, a lot of it's luck. A lot of the music industry and
you know what you know
100%.
And when and where, all of that.
A lot of it too is manipulated. I mean, it's a whole mix of stuff.
The industry now is so much smoke and mirrors in terms of. So I was. This is crazy. So I was reading this article that I saw someone do like a little TikTok thing on, and then they like linked the article, and I deep dived into it. This band booked out a 10-show tour. And they're like 200 to 300 seat events. They sell out. Their booking manager is like, how? How many tickets can the band sell? And they said 50. How are you already sold out on 10 venues?
Sure.
And they said, we paid for seat fillers.
Yep.
$4,000 the band paid per venue to fill the seats. But you know what? Smoke and mirrors. They got picked up for the next season of touring, opening for a huge band.
It happens all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But they spent $40,000 on that 10-show tour.
People,
they made no money.
Yeah, but people...
But then they got picked up and they're...
It's the image. I mean, back in the day, people used to do the records.
Yeah,
they used to buy all the records.
But they do. We'll talk about that too. But all the time, I get people funneled through Artist Formula. Hey, do you know any tour buy-ins I can get on?
Yeah, tour buy-ins
people get on all the time.
Tour buying, and that's a huge thing now.
Well, back in the day, Edwin McCain, because he's from South Carolina, I did like 2 shows when I was really young with Hootie and stuff. He had a great story. Now he has a podcast, and he talked about that story. He heard he was about to get dropped from Atlantic. He was in Atlanta, where he's from, his big town. Before the show, they went down to the record store because Nielsen SoundScan, right? If I'm saying it right, bought them all. You got to stay in Atlantic. You know what I mean? But then guess what? Then he bought some merch and he just sold out the show. You know what I mean? So it's all like that.
Trying to break even is, I feel,
is the goal.
Is the goal as a new artist.
Hey man, the exit. I'm not gonna lie to you. I might have bought some tickets for some people.
Yeah. VIP.
I mean, if you've got friends too, and you're like, oh, okay, I've sold half these tickets. Let me get these friends in. That's valid. I cannot see buying out
a whole tour.
The whole tour. That is insane.
Yeah, but
I mean, if you got big money like that, do it.
That's
I
what
guess,
it is. It's someone with a rich mom and dad or an investor.
The thing is, though, like you can do that, but the music better be good.
Yeah,
like,
that is true. Because if you're going to invest in yourself on that scale, it better be worth it, and you better have follow up.
If you don't have
the tunes,
then it doesn't matter.
No one's gonna come see it.
Tunes and the talent.
Dave Chappelle's got that great, or no, it's Cat Williams, where he's like, are you ready to take a second lead on your house for a mixtape?
Yeah. That's exactly it though. Like you have to have you can pull all the smoke and mirrors you want, but at the end of the day, it's like the Wizard of Oz. Someone's gonna pull that curtain back, and if you're not a wizard, then
dude,
then you're screwed.
I got this morning. I got an email from Billboard for an article. They're about artist format. They're like, hey, can we learn about all this manipulation charting stuff you do? And it's we buy sales for people, so it hits it, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, I charted at #1 in blues. It's more like an EPK
There's a lot of people thinking in that way now, though, because that is the system we're living with in the music industry right now. Yeah, I mean, I think a few years ago everything crashed and burned basically, and now they're trying to be built back up. But it's like, how do you do that? And then when we've got Spotify, taking you make you don't make any money as an artist. Like I used to sell the merch or have huge numbers, monthly numbers,
massive
numbers,
like massive numbers.
Like
dude, I used to make $1,000 a month. And I get just decent numbers. This is 2020. Now I get like 200-300 maybe. Yeah, same amount of streams. Yeah. Well, they did the Spotify package where it's like if we're a family, Taylor's our kid, 4 of us. We listen to Ariel's record. It's on that Spotify plan. It's $10 a month. It's 1 stream. That's how they destroyed it. And so they're trying to lobby to change that law again. It needs to be. Yeah, but that's crazy, man. Yeah. That's nuts.
I mean, it's theft.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah.
It really
but
is.
when a company comes public, they have to then report, positive earnings each quarter, and then now it's a whole different ball game. You know what I mean? So
they get to pay their. If you're not making more money, you got to pay your clients less.
Yeah. So, or what do you do first when a company's losing? You fire everybody. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's where the music industry's landed now. Yeah. That's why I brought it up.
I'm about to run for office right now. I was going to have a whole tirade on this.
About to run for office.
We're going to bring them down.
This whole podcast changes. We got like
we're plummeting in the Spotify algorithm.
Yeah, they're just gonna turn
Squarespace.
They're like, oh, what did they say?
Save us, Wix.
Save us, please.
Save us.
We need the cash flow.
That's funny, man.
Help Tom Cruise. Yeah, that's the vibe I just got from that.
Yeah.
It's Will Ferrell, right?
Yeah.
I was like, what is that?
When he's on Invisible Fire.
Oh, I love that.
I feel like the whole industry's in Invisible Fire right now.
It really is.
Yeah, but you know what? But if you're one of those people like on social media that's like cranky and it's like you better get on with it. You better adapt to it, or you're not going to be in the industry.
It's a good time to be a firefighter.
It's like people bitching about AI, honestly.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I said it's kind of like people bitching about AI.
Yeah.
It's happening.
I use AI for this. Opus Clips. It's great.
Yep. I love it. Thank you for that, by
Taylor
the way.
uses it. He loves it.
Everyone uses it.
So do I now. Yeah. So good.
It just, and the game that I do too.
It just saves time, and then we can put our actual creative thought that we need, instead of doing that, into other things like writing or coordinating other cool, awesome shows or, music videos. It's just being more creative and having time for that instead of all of the tedious shit.
Yeah, well,
it's a tool like any other
tool. It is a tool.
And you can use a tool for great benefit.
Yeah.
You can, cook. You can use a knife to cook a Michelin star winning dinner, or you can cause violence with it.
Yeah.
So it's just responsibility with using the tools and control in that element.
Yeah, I think if you just end up always trying to be a transparent, honest artist, people are always going to dig you. You know what I mean? Even if you are using an AI clip. I mean, dude, what do you use all the time that I love? The packs.
That's not necessarily AI.
No, it's not. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, those are tools as well, like sample packs and
I loved it. And I just did a record with him, and we got one song dropping here soon. But packs is like you explain it better.
It's just, I think what I was using on some of that was Outputs Arcade is the name of the plugin, where they use they take samples. Taylor's nodding. And they use the samples in a instrument type setting, so you can change the key and manipulate them as an instrument. So it's using
like MIDIs.
Yeah, essentially like MIDI, but they're actual samples.
That's cool.
Which is cool. I mean, you can.
And it sounds incredible. It sounds like every like Post Malone song. In the back, you hear all this twinkle stuff. You know, it's kind of like those little extra. You know,
but it's still a tool. You could hit the one button and have it play the sample behind it, and everyone else is going to have that too.
Sure.
But you can do stuff to make them sound your own.
Manipulate it.
So I mean, it's just like what we're talking about, where finding responsible and creative ways to apply these AI tools is the key.
Yeah.
I mean, people thought that, sorry, I'm not going to go on a rant, but people thought that like live music was going to end once the record came out. Like, it was like, oh, we can just listen to a concert at home.
You're totally right.
No.
It's not the same experience.
Yeah. So it's just, I think we're going to continue down that path. There's going to be new things that people are going to think of that change the industry, but hopefully change it.
Once technology touched it, it just kept going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you look at the progression, kind of like the technological advances and how much society changed, it's like over the past 10 years, really, we're just like, just like straight up, like on that chart, because we've reached a point of where it just keeps exponentiating because we keep getting more and more and more and more access and tools that we are figuring out how to use. So it's just...
What was the first one? LimeWire, right?
Napster.
Was that before?
Yeah, Napster's before.
Well, remember LimeWire? I destroyed my parents' computer.
I was about to say,
yeah.
I think if you were in the 90s at all, you know what LimeWire was, and you probably regretted ever...
Me and my twin brother, I remember we were in this, like, you know, dude's office, you know, it's tons of shit everywhere, one of those typical computer repair guys. And he's like, Napster, there's a whole bunch of songs and porn. And we were like...
Well, it's all.
It was just hilarious, but everyone had it. But that kind of destroyed. That was a stupid story I said, but it destroyed the industry because then music started becoming free. But also it was a tool. Though.
That was that huge court case though with Metallica versus Napster.
Yep.
Pursuing them,
and they thought that we're going to take you down. Like, no, man, it kind of devalued music, right?
Did. Oh, totally.
But then there's a great, you know, you're a big fan of John Mayer. There's a big story where he's like, hey, I saw it as a tool, and he just shared the hell out of his music, and then you know what I mean. So
and you could get to millions of more people than you ever could before.
Yep.
Which is why instead of being begrudging about it, being the content creator side of things, just go ahead, make the content, put it out there, because the people that if you're being genuine anyway, that should make them want to go hear more of what your art is, you know. So it is a tool, and it can be very beneficial. It can be frustrating. Don't put too much thought into it. This was one of my just banes of my existence, was like I'd spend all of this time manually editing, and the clip's so good, and the audio was perfect, and I did all the effects.
No,
few hundred views.
Yeah.
Whipping a camera around and being like, "What's up, bitches?"
Yeah.
Post that.
Huge. Yeah.
Thousands, tens of $250,000. I'm like,
it's kind of funny.
What do you want from me?
The kind of the more simple sometimes takes off, you know?
We've talked about this on the podcast before. I read, I think it was Jonathan Haidt's book about the anxious generation, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
And he goes into how the algorithms use the same effects of like casinos, to where they want to give you random big wins and a lot of small little ones. So even though if you had a lot of little ones, you would win more, but the one big one hooks your brain and gives you a big release of dopamine at a time.
Totally.
And that's what they're doing. It's just this randomized element to it. Chink. So you put in your best effort. It's like a pop quiz in class.
Yeah.
It's like you prepare for every class because you don't know which one's going to have the pop quiz. So everything's excellent, even though you're only getting rewarded on one.
That's very true.
It's interesting. It's manipulative. The number one problem I see with that is you're at the mercy of these platforms. So if they wanted to say you don't have a career anymore, they just delete your account.
Yeah. So I was a Mixer partner before I was a Twitch partner. And Mixer was purchased by Microsoft, and then they killed it. Did we get a courtesy email? No, they posted that shit on Twitter.
Yeah.
So literally 3 months after I retired from teaching to go full time,
man,
platform gone. Luckily, Facebook actually reached out to a lot of us and offered us partnership, and they were going to pay us like a couple $1,000 a month to stream on their platform to try to get it up. But I got a very rare direct offer from Twitch talent partner seekers, and they offered me partnership to come to Twitch instead of going to Facebook. So I did that. And but yeah, that happened. It does happen. And you've got some of these, like, I used to put a lot of time into Twitter. Now X, whatever. I literally don't even have the app on my phone anymore. Because unless you're paying monthly for like the thing, it doesn't matter if I've got 5,000 followers, and I used to have the engagement rate of like 10 to 20% on every post, which is really good engagement rate.
Yeah,
sure.
No boosting, nothing. Just that because my audience was showing my stuff. I let my check mark fall off. So I was like, this is stupid.
Twitter's a dumpster fire now.
It is.
So I'm just gonna say it. I'm not on Twitter.
I'm not. I deleted the app.
Yeah, I barely get on it. And when I do get on it, I'm like, what is happening? Yeah. And then all the notifications are all weird now too. You get things from people you don't even know who they are.
See, I can't.
Yep.
I think Grok's pretty good. It's a good product. That's their AI. X's AI.
Gotcha.
I'll give them compliments on that. But Twitter or X is a dumpster fire.
Yeah. Well, I was going to mention when Universal bought Fuga. Did you hear about that? So Fuga, that's my distributor. Fuga is just as big as The Orchard and whatever. It's like when Kanye West got his album deleted off Apple Music, that was Fuga. And so anyway, Fuga just got bought by Universal because 50% of music now that is consumed is independent. And so they go, look at this. It's kind of like the craft beer phase where Anheuser-Busch came and bought all the breweries. Like, hey, look at this market we're losing. And so they bought it. And so what you're talking about, hey, you're at the mercy of them. What everyone keeps saying, what they're worried about is, let's say you are popping off Ariel, you're on Fuga. Hey, Ariel, what's up? We're Universal. You want a deal? And you go, no, I want to stay independent. And they can just turn down your algorithm and you're screwed. And so that's one thing people were talking about. But one thing I do want to mention, just because like the elements of where people got excited over the years, there was Napster, Limewire. Remember when Pandora came out and everyone loved that? That was huge. Now Pandora, I love Pandora, and I still work with those guys a lot. They have a hot sauce. They send it to me all the time. But
they have a hot sauce?
They have the Pandora hot sauce. It's delicious, dude.
I gotta try it.
There's like 4 or 5. I got like 1 left at the house, but everyone's got a hot sauce now, but I'm saying, but Pandora's not so hot anymore. But seriously, except bottom.
Not as hot as their sauce.
No,
Yeah. Made it way too easy.
You were like, yeah,
set me up for that.
Yeah. But Pandora had a huge thing. You had to get submitted to it, and you had to get added to it. Now everyone's on Pandora. But you had to like submit to it. Dude, I drove to New York. I had a gig. My buddy Tom Mackle were there. We went to Pandora. I looked on LinkedIn, like, whose name? Because it's New York, so you got to check in. And I go, hey, I'm here to meet Pat. And they go, yeah, sure. Went up. I went to his, and I go, here's my CD. And I got a Pandora station the next day.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
That's how I did it. I was 21. But then a couple years later, you just submitted.
Sometimes you just got to act like you're supposed to be there.
Oh, yeah, totally. But I'm just saying, but then after that, Pandora wasn't as big as it was, and Spotify
That's still
came
really
in.
cool, though.
Yeah, that was cool. I did that. I lied. I went to Spotify, did that too. That was crazy. They had like 200 people at their office, and it's like Google. It's 1 million people, so we just kind of blended in. And then we had coffee, and I was like, we should probably get the hell out of here. And we left, but we were just lying to go, hey, we're here to see this because it's New York. They have like the big security guys, just like an elf.
This isn't Home Depot.
Act
Please
like
leave.
you're supposed to be there, and most people just assume that you are.
That was fun. Yeah, I went and did that too to another manager. He managed G Love, and I lied to him too. I said, hey, I'm here to meet, and I went to his apartment, handed him the CD.
Wow.
And he goes, who the hell are you? And I go, I'm friends with Marshall Lowe. He goes, oh, I know Marshall.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Never got a show out of it. But
that's funny.
Anyway, I was just like, just graduated college, super hungry kid. But anyway, whatever. But well, what are you looking forward to? Not just music, but you got anything you're just like, dude, I can't wait to get on the road, or I got vacation coming up.
All of the above, actually. I'm going to be going out to Wisconsin and a couple other little places at the end of July, beginning of August for a duet tour with my co-writer, Kirsty Krause. It's going to be fun. We're actually going to be in the studio this week tracking that song. It's called I Now Know Better, that we are going to release in July right before the tour. Sweet. So this will be my first out-of-state, multi-state tour since I was 13, and first one ever with original music.
Cool.
I toured with a guy named William Michael Morgan when we were 13, 14, and we sang Johnny and June style stuff, old country, rhinestone, get up.
Yeah, like Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about? Hey, Billy.
A little shuffle back step. Shuffle back step.
Oh my gosh, very,
so
very
good.
I haven't seen the new one.
Oh my god,
kitschy, corny.
You got to watch it.
Though.
That's cool. Awesome.
But yeah,
how is live performing for you?
I love it. It's my favorite. I've had a couple of residencies around town that I've also had to bring in PA, bring in everything, run the sound engineer, and perform.
Yep.
But I'm learning a lot by having to do that too, so that's been cool. But yeah, I'm playing once, twice, 4 times a week, depending on the week. I think I have 13 gigs this month.
Long sets or mostly focused?
Well, I host 2 to 3 hour songwriter showcases. I will be also performing 1.5 hour songwriter gigs, solo gigs, and then I've got some full band gigs.
Cool.
Around.
What's your favorite?
Around town. What's my favorite?
Full band gigs.
I enjoy them all equally in terms of like. I appreciate each one for different things. But yeah, full band is always the best.
Always the best.
Like, you just get to jam out,
so
rock
much energy.
out. Ariel Jade and Smash Grass is my band's name.
Oh, cool.
It's rotating. I've got basically 2 rosters of just phenomenal guys that I grew up playing like grass with. And,
Cool.
So Smash Grass. So we do like Beatles covers, Bob Dylan, the band, like CCR, and then we do like Dolly Parton and Loretta Lynn, and then I sprinkle in some originals, but it's all kind of like grassed up a little bit. It's very Americana jam band.
The
vibes.
energy of having a live band is just
It's fun.
You can't get that anywhere else.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And one of my main guitar player his name's Lucas White. He has a bluegrass band called Off the Rails. You also check them out; they're really good.
Very cool.
But
Shout out Off the Rails.
Yeah, he just jams out with me, and we've been playing together since we were 13. So like. We don't even have to look at each other, really. You know, like there's an intrinsic knowledge that I'm about to like give him a break or whatever. It's cool. We've got really good stage chemistry, and a bunch of other guys that are in Smash Grass. We've been playing enough together over the past few years.
You're a jam at the Station Inn?
I have not actually.
When's the last time you were there? I haven't been there in
I
years.
was there a couple months ago.
Really?
Yeah.
You
I
ever
went
been there?
and saw. Yes,
Yeah.
I got this guy named Carl Jackson that has mentored me for a while, but he does some bluegrass shows there, and
Yeah.
I've gone a couple times and
It's just like
watched.
legendary is what I...
It's so,
Yeah,
cool.
it
it's
is.
so
It's
odd
kind of
now.
an iconic place.
Just walking there, like with
It's
all the high
different.
rises around
It's
it.
different.
It's
like,
the Gulch, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's
A
totally.
little different. Yeah.
I mean, it's still wonderful, and it's one of
Sure.
the most legendary venues. But just going into the Gulch, you're like, I feel like I'm in New York. Or
Because 10 years
For
ago, it was
sure.
kind of
It was
like...
a parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything over there was
I
a
used to love
parking lot.
going to it. It was so much fun. They had like cheap pizza or something. and It was great, man. You ever done the Bluebird? You ever done that?
That was actually Carl took me there when I was 14, and I sang one of my songs, and that's how I met Wood.
Okay, cool.
So my first gig in Nashville was at the Bluebird, actually,
What a
Heck
way
yeah.
to start.
when I was 14 years old.
Way up here.
Yeah.
I'm along for the ride.
Well, awesome. Well, and your next show's at Canvas, right?
I have a
Here, oh.
bluegrass fusion jam that I'm doing at the
Sure.
end of May.
Plug it.
It's like from 12 to 3. I'm trying to get a brunch together too.
Cool.
It's like my whole show. I'm throwing this, but it's an open community jam. So that's my next Canvas thing. I'm doing like monthly showcases at Canvas now. I'm
Sure.
playing Ford Ice Center in Bellevue this week. I'm playing the Nations Rock the Nations Fest on May 17th. It's just a day festival. I'm opening that up with Smash Grass, Ariel Jade and Smash Grass.
Nice.
I'm playing at Dee's Lounge next week.
Love
the
Dee's.
following
Dee's
week
great.
for Bob Dylan Birthday Bash show. It's gonna be tons of really
Cool.
cool musicians.
That's the Timothy Chalamet guy. No, I love Bob Dylan. I love Bob Dylan.
And then I'll end up flying. I'm actually gonna be flying out and doing some out of state gigs up in Madison before my tour as well.
Cool.
So. But all of that's on ArielJade.com.
Plug the tunes again too. When they dropping?
Plug the tunes. Okay. Divorce Around Here comes out May 30th.
Mhm.
And then Kirsty Krause and I are releasing as a duet in July. I think July 11th is what we've decided. I Now Know Better, and that'll be what we tour with. That'll be our start of the tour will be the release of that song.
Heck
So,
yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you want to chat about? We got a couple more minutes. Or something you're just dying to...
Oh, I guess I could plug the fact that I actually fully produced and finished all of my post-production for my first music video.
Wow.
That wasn't a lyric video, that I actually like booked out a studio and brought in like 20 of my friends to be extras.
Is that when you guys are all kind of...
Ain't they pretty?
Yeah.
And
Cool guitar player up there. Who is that?
that's Mike Loudermilk.
Okay, cool.
The electric one.
Yeah.
Yes, that's Mike Loudermilk.
Kind of very Grateful Dead-y playing.
Cool.
Oh yeah, he's so good. He's so good, and he can literally play like anything.
Nice.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
How was that process of filming it and getting it together?
I booked out. So Michael Weintraub is a photographer plug him real quick because it's really cool if you're into music. He does this series called Instrument Head, and he takes photos of all
Oh
these-
yeah, I've met him
You
before.
don't know? Okay.
I've heard of that.
He had his place over there by Delgado Guitars. I don't know if he's still over there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is where I filmed my video.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
In his studio, yes. And so I booked it out, and I brought in my business partner out of Studio X, and he filmed everything. We had a couple of like cool vintage cameras, and then we got, a couple of like high quality ones going too. I used a lot of the vintage footage.
Yeah.
It just looked really, and it's a very like old classic country sounding song. So like kind of that vintage vibe. Anyway, it was cool. I brought in him, and we filmed all of my solo parts within like an hour. I also brought my sister to kind of like do some B-roll.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had all of my band come in and all of our extras, my friends. Mm-hmm. And so there's like a lot of little cameos. If you go watch the video, there's a lot of other musicians, and like Dylan Weldon and his wife came, and they're like in the back, like just friends from around Nashville, but they're all in the industry. So I love
a lot of familiar faces.
Yes, it's like I Spy. You know what I mean? So it's
and that's out. That's been released.
Yes, I put it out like last week. It's on YouTube.
Cool.
Nice.
Look for it on YouTube.
Yes, ain't they pretty? It took me, I feel like entirely too long to edit, but that's also why I do want to get some. I want to find a way to kick out some of that post production of my own stuff, because it's just like I don't want to stare at myself that long. I really don't.
Yeah.
It's hard to not be biased in that process too.
Well, and I know like I overthink things a lot of the time, and I don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it would be easier if you can get that degree of separation when it's your own stuff.
Sure.
I feel like that can help.
Well, that's great in music too. Like that's what's
For
wonderful
sure.
about having a producer is like I know when I record my own stuff, I get rid of so many great ideas because I think they're wrong. Though I know someone else would say it's cool. I mean, we did it on one of your tracks. You thought you had a bad note. I'm like, that's the coolest note in the song.
Yeah, what was that? Was that?
Is in the solo of
That's When You Call Me?
When You Call Me, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a Jeff Beck thing.
You did it like, you played it 10 times, and I was like, oh my God, that's sick.
Yeah.
But the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, yeah,
That
change
was
it,
wrong.
man.
Yeah.
Because you know it was a wrong, or
Yep.
What you
Whatever I
intended.
thought
yeah, it wasn't what
Yeah.
you intended.
Yep.
But I'm like,
But it turned out really cool.
and so
Yep,
like in that
it did.
editing process, watching it, you're like, oh, I know I was feeling weird in this spot, but it's tough editing your own stuff.
It is.
For sure.
It is.
Well, Ariel, thanks for coming.
Thank y'all for
love
having
ya.
me. This was
Yeah,
a
easy.
whole lot of fun.
We'll see you May 23rd Exit, and he's playing.
Yeah, I'm coming.
So-
Oh, cool,
I'm coming
cool.
to that.
Yeah, man.
Bringing some friends.
I think
Awesome.
Taylor's coming.
It's gonna be a good
Taylor
time.
showed up a month early.
What?
Yeah.
Did you really?
He goes, hey, man, I'm here. I go, where?
Where?
I didn't show up.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, if they got to respond, because that would have sucked. But,
Yeah.
Well, hey,
That's funny.
Ariel, plug your socials, and we'll be out of here.
ArielJade.com has got everything. Ariel Jade Live on most of the places, or Ariel Jade Music. Go to ArielJade.com, and it's got all of my links.
Nice, cool.
Email list for new releases.
Killer.
Because again, not trusting the social medias to
Yeah.
always have your back. If you're really interested, I'm just going to tell you, go get on that email list. I don't send a lot, but when I have big things,
100%.
it goes out there.
Killer.
So.
All right, well, thank you, Ariel. We'll catch you soon.
Awesome.
Thanks. That's a wrap.
Dude, Righteous Gems was like the last scene you guys see it.
I just started watching the.
They do like a cross.
I saw
I
the
only
first episode.
I
of the
only
newest.
saw the.
I've been running